Welcome back to the crypto simulation. Anything that I say on this channel is not intended to be taken as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Any of my price predictions should be researched by you and not taken to the bank. If I were able to predict price correctly, in fact, if anybody was, they'd be the richest person alive. We'd have no need for charting. Charting and TA is about assigning probabilities to certain events that may or may not play out. With that said, welcome. I want to talk tonight about Polygon, also known as Matic, also known as Paul, P-O-L. So Polygon is a project that I'm very passionate about. I will disclose that I have a large position in it, and I intend on holding that position for the duration of this market cycle. So I discovered Polygon back in 2021. It was actually one of the first projects I discovered when I first got into crypto early on in 2021. And I remember seeing it around 30 cents, 35 cents. I bought some of it back then, did some paper handing that I'm not so proud about. And so I've had this very tumultuous relationship with Polygon that kind of started in 2021. They've come a long way from just being a layer or two on top of Ethereum, which is already a major accomplishment in and of itself, reducing transaction fees and increasing transaction speeds. But besides being one of the original proof of stake blockchains, Polygon has truly developed into its own ecosystem. I refer to them as the Google of crypto. I truly believe that Polygon is an undervalued project, and anything underneath $1, which is where we're underneath $1 right now, is tremendous long-term value for a project that I believe will become one of the blue chips of the crypto space. There's so many things happening on Polygon, from their innovative ZK rollups, which you could think of as like, if you have a congested highway, these would be sort of like, exits off the highway, country roads that would allow data to process much faster. And it is one of the, I would say, one of the best proposed solutions to the trilemma problem in crypto, which deals with scalability, security, and speed. And you're going to see all three of those elements addressed with these ZK rollups. A lot of great GameFi is happening on Polygon, some of which I'll talk to you about in future videos. But they're a great project. Sandeep, the co-founder of Polygon, he's a really hard worker, and he's very actively involved in talking about the project. And I believe last I checked, they formed partnerships, and I think acquired somewhere close to like 93 companies. So you can let me know in the comments if I'm off on that number, but that was when I last looked. I think it was like 93 companies. So they are truly the Google of crypto. They're trying to turn crypto into something that's accessible for everyone, that's interoperable across all blockchains. And I feel like if there's any chain out there that can do it, it's Polygon. So that being said, let's get into some technical analysis and see what's going on with this gem of a project. Now, while I normally start with logarithmic regression, and I do intend to bring that up, I wanted to show you something fascinating about Polygon's chart going all the way back to its inception. You can see that we have been in a multiple year flag, and this has just been a beautiful formation. It does look like we're heading back down. Now, the closer you get to the vertex of a flag, the closer you're getting to either a breakout or a breakdown in the chart. And that's kind of what I want to address tonight, which is like, which is more likely? Are we more likely to break up, or are we more likely to break down? Now, notice that this triangle ends in September of 2024. We don't want to see this go all the way till then, but let's take a look at some of the technicals. Let's analyze the log regression of Polygon, do a deep dive, and by the end of the video, see kind of what seems more likely. By the way, this is on a 2-week time frame, and it's just really beautiful to see this bounce that's happened and this diminished volatility in this triangle. Really curious to see where does this go. So one of the first clues about where Polygon is likely to go next is found in the logarithmic regression channel. I want you to notice something that's different about this multi-year logarithmic regression channel that we haven't seen in the other videos on my channel with the other projects that I've talked about. And that is we're in a multi-year logarithmic regression down channel. Not an up channel, but a down channel. And you might notice that it's starting to flatten out. Now, normally what happens in any logarithmic regression channel, whether it's an up channel or a down channel, is you get diminished volatility over time until you don't. And when you get a shift in the volatility and you get an explosive move one way or the other, your entire channel can change. And it would no longer be a logarithmic regression down channel. You would have a brand new logarithmic regression up channel, which could take on a whole new type of volatility. We've never had that for Matic on a weekly time frame dating back to its inception. So you are seeing you're seeing that diminishing returns, diminishing volatility play out on this log channel. This is in increments of 0.5, 3 standard deviations above, 3 standard deviations below. And you can see we went up all the way up to 2.5, almost hit it the first time, then went down to 2.5, up to around 1, and down to about 1.5. And then we've been straddling the median line, and it looks like we're heading down again. Hard to say exactly from the log chart where we're going to land, but we can see that volatility is diminishing, and the log channel is kind of flattening out over this long time period. Hey, if we pull up a Gaussian channel again on the weekly time frame and some Bollinger Bands, you can see that we have been just chopping away, just chop, 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 chop. The Bollinger Bands have remained fairly evenly spaced apart, minus this part here, so we haven't seen a whole lot of fluctuation, I mean, other than this one when we went into a bottoming process. But we're above the 20 week right now, which is a good sign. We have been holding it as support, but we're at this like crucial junction of the 20 week and the mean line of the Gaussian channel, which to me appears to be kind of flat, and it may be inflecting here. I really can't tell if that's what it's doing. We've had some wicks to the upside that unfortunately were rejected, but I do like that we are holding support here on the 20 week SMA, and obviously that's not a guarantee that we continue to hold that. I mean, we could dip down again, certainly possible, and we'll have to analyze the probabilities of that occurring, but I am, liking what I'm seeing here in terms of like the overall build. Why don't we take a look at fibs and VRVP on the weekly time frame, going back to Polygon's inception, and see what we notice there. So this is actually quite interesting. If you look at Polygon's all-time high to its most recent low, you'll see that Polygon's been through a lot. It had quite a nasty capitulation, and I mean, we even wicked all the way down to almost 30 cents. Man, nice bounce out of that. I mean, we just sliced right through the 236 fib, the 382, and I mean, even got above the 0.5, and then we started to range and had a tweezer top at the 618, which unfortunately is kind of bearish. It sent us back down in kind of a head and shoulders formation. But notice that we found support at the 382 again, bounced off to yet another tweezer top. I mean, this is less, I don't know if this technically would be a tweezer top. I mean, it's not as much as clear as this one, but this was actually above the 618, and this was in February. We got all the way up to, I don't know, like $1.50, and then we went all the way back down to around 50 cents underneath the 236. That was incredible value. Bounced back up the 382, and then we actually kind of crabbed around here at the 236. So I feel like the 236 is offers some pretty strong support at this point. Now I want you to notice where are the areas of the majority of volume support. Believe it or not, they're actually where we are right now. So We are holding steady on the 382, and there is plenty of support here. I mean, just plenty. So I actually wouldn't be that surprised if we don't go below this in a sustained way. We could wick below it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we could carve a little bottom out below it or something like that. This is some brick wall volume support where we are right now. This is strong support. And we have strong support down here as well in case this fails. But and remember, this is in the context of a really large flag. So right now, where we find ourselves is just above the 0.382. We are holding that. We've been holding that for weeks and weeks, building out really strong support there. So that's a good sign. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to zoom in on the most recent trend and try to view it in a logarithmic way. And it is a little bit hard to decide where to fit the data for that, because you could look at this in a lot of ways. I could maybe fit it from here. I think that's where I'm going to fit it from. I think I'm going to fit it from June of 22 to where we are now. And let's see what that logarithmic regression looks like. So that's giving you, about a year and a half, almost 2 years of data. And we can see kind of like where we find ourselves in this particular trend. And this would be an uptrend channel. Okay, so not a downtrend channel because we're starting at the low. So let's take a look at that. I called it an up channel, but it really should be called a flat channel. I didn't know what this was going to look like. So we have -3 to +3 again. I went in increments of 0.5. I usually go in increments of 1 when I'm on a shorter time frame, but what the heck, why not? So here we wick down to, it looks like almost more than 4 standard deviations on that wick. Not surprising at the beginning of the channel. Got up to 1, and then this looks like 2, 2.5, and down at the -1.5, and it looks like we're right at the mean. There's been a lot of touch points there. So I can't really tell much from this chart, to be honest with you, in terms of the log lines. Let's throw some other stuff on here. Let's maybe throw some Bollinger Bands, which we had earlier. I think we're going to probably see some very neutral looking stuff there. And maybe we can throw on some moving averages as well. So let's go do that. So basically what we see as I didn't even have a full picture here. Still doesn't, yes. Still, so yeah, we're actually above we wicked up to the 1.5. This is very neutral. This looks like a transitional phase when, if you think about how we've been in a downtrend, a macro downtrend really since its inception. This seems like kind of the point of transition where we might start to see the uptrend materialize later on. I haven't really given you any proof for that other than just a triangle structure, which itself looks rather neutral. But, I pointed this out earlier. We are above the 20-week SMA. We have, in fact, gone above the 50-week SMA. I think we had one weekly close above that. We have yet to have any weekly closes above the 100-week SMA, but all the moving averages are converging together. It feels like a big move is coming, and that big move is either going to be to the upside or the downside. And we should all be wondering which, right? Odds are, look at this 20-week is trending up. That's a good sign. Matic has been holding the 20-week for quite a while now. Going all the way back to October. So for, what is that, 1, 2, 3, almost 4 months of holding the 20-week. That's pretty impressive. That it's been holding it that long. I don't know if it will continue to hold it or not. I don't like that Matic is sitting below these moving averages, but at the same time, it is above this one. So we need to look at more data. I think that's kind of the take home here. We need to look at more data, see what the data says, and go from there. So right now, I'm leaning bullish, and maybe that's just my bias from holding such a large position. I don't know. I have to acknowledge my own bias, but the indicators don't lie. So let's go take a look at what they have to say. I'm going to introduce you to a new indicator. I love introducing you to these. This is one of the indicators I discovered towards the end of last year in quarter 3. It's called the Average Sentiment Oscillator, or ASO. And it makes it kind of looks like a bug. It looks like a giant like cockroach or something. Um, but the way that it works, it's a little bit like the ADX and DI. So it kind of shows you price movements in waves, like almost like ripples in a pond. And when the green when the green line is above the red, and there's divergence happening, so you have the green moving away from the red, that's considered bullish divergence. When you have the blue moving towards the red, that's considered bearish convergence. You'll see price probably flatten out or drop a little bit in those kind of situations. And but whatever is on top is the dominant trend. Now you can see that bearishness can start to take over here, and you get a trend change. Generally speaking, you don't see the trend strength hit above 80 too often. Okay, that's kind of the line in the sand, and down here 20 is usually the lowest it goes. And this is similar to the RSI and in some ways, kind of on the scale. I find it more similar to ADX and DI, to be quite honest with you. So, and 50 is kind of like considered to be more of the neutral. So you can see how these bubbles have alternated. We've never had a bull trend as strong as this bear trend. Okay, this bear trend that we experienced in the Q1 and Q2 of 2022 was absolutely brutal, and we got some relief. Maybe we would call that some reversion of the mean right in here, and then we got even another wave of bearishness. So to be quite honest with you, Polygon has never really experienced a true bull market of its own. And one of the reasons for that could just be that it kind of came into the last bull market late, and by the time Bitcoin was getting exhausted, it kind of took Polygon down with it, and ETH as well. So if you kind of look at Polygon from that context, you can see just how incredibly bullish this project is. Like, the fact that it survived that horrible bear market, look at all the bearishness that it's been through. It's never had much in the way of bullishness against the US dollar. We'll look at it against Bitcoin and ETH later, but to me, this is an encouraging sign. Now, we had some pretty strong bullish divergence that got us up, pretty high, higher than we've ever been, to around 71. And then that was unsustainable, so we fell back down. But the bulls are still in control on the average sentiment oscillator. So I don't know which way this is going to go. Right now, we're just neutral. We're neutral with what I would say is a slightly bearish bias. Okay, we have very, very slight bearish convergence. It's so slight that you can barely even see it. Now, could this kink down again? Sure, it could. But it really feels like the selling pressure over the past few years is starting to get pretty exhausted. Now, this is an indicator you're familiar with if you watched my videos, the bull bear power trend. You can see that the bears have had their say. There was only one time in its entire history, February 13th, that week, that the bulls were in charge. So the bulls just flat out have not been in charge with Matic. We had bears in charge all throughout most of 2023, bears in charge throughout 2022. This is just such an ugly chart, but look at where we've come. Look where we are right now. Bears are still in charge. The volume bars are showing, but they're not as strong. So all we really need to see is for this to turn around. And there's been a lot of people accumulating Polygon in the groups I'm a part of. It's the thing. Grab as much Matic as you can while ETH is still sleeping. And I think, like I've said it earlier, I'll say it again. I think anything under $1 is good value for Polygon long term. I don't think we can even fully appreciate or realize just how explosive this project could really get. This is the hyperspace rails, or the Gaussian filter, MACD, and I'm actually kind of liking the way that this looks. I just noticed something. I may have to scroll this up a little bit to make this line, but I wanted to draw a trend line, kind of show you what I'm noticing right now as I speak to you. Trend lines are dubious, right? We can't take them to the bank, but a pattern's a pattern. Now we did just recently get a short signal on January 22nd, which has sent us down slightly, but look at it, we're starting to curl back around. That's an interesting sign if you think back to what I showed you earlier in the video. And I'd suggest you watch this video a few times to really digest the bullishness that is pregnant inside of magnet. It's like a bullish baby ready to be born, folks. There's so much bullishness that I see in this project. It's not just the chart, it's the fundamentals as well. And maybe I should throw those up to show you what I mean. But look at this. We have a series of higher lows that have been forming on the GF-MACD dating all the way back to June of 2022. That is a sign that Matic is coiling up for a big move, and the odds are that move is to the upside. This is pretty strong evidence that that is the most likely move. Now, I do want to come back and look at some more indicators, but before I do that, I want to show you another reason why I love this project. So the market cap for this project is $7.5 billion, placing it at number 14. What's really impressive about where we're at now is that the fully diluted market cap is $7.7 billion. So it's really not that much further from where we are now. You saw when I was talking about multi-bit in my last video, I really like projects that don't have high inflation. Polygon is one of those. In fact, one of the things I forgot to mention earlier that I just remembered now is that when Matic is fully upgraded to POL, which is version 2 of Polygon, they're going to have an annualized 1% inflation rate on the token. And if you stake that token, you're actually going to get rewards for transactions that occur on the main net. And this main net is intended to be interoperable with other blockchains. That's something that they've been working on. But more than that, the more transactions that occur on the Polygon mainnet, get this, the cheaper the transaction fees are going to be. That's right, they'll be cheaper the more congested the network gets. And you know why? It's because of rollups. It's because of the distribution of that and their tokenomics. Amazing, incredible. I think, and I'm going to say this now, but I think that there is a really good chance that you see Polygon within the top 5 and possibly even the top 3 on CoinMarketCap by the end of this cycle. I am that bullish on this project and I back my bullishness up with money. I've invested more money into Polygon than I have any other project. It is something that I view. It's like Ethereum, right? How could you be bearish on Ethereum? Polygon runs on top of Ethereum, and it brings the best out of Ethereum. And then not only that, but it has its own ecosystem in addition to that. So how could you not like this project? Anyways, back to the chart. More hidden signs of bullishness. Look at the Gaussian ribbon. It's opening green. We want to see this fatten. That would be nice. We see that fatten. We could see bullishness extend further out. I don't know what's going to happen here. It's hard to say, but the fact that this is fattening, to me, that's a good sign. The RSI and the stochastic RSI are a little bit difficult to read. I mean, the stochastic RSI is clearly heading down, meaning we're dealing with a concave down Matic. But the RSI is just about as flat as can be. I mean, it is slightly down, but it's been holding this 50 level for a few weeks now. And you might think that we're due for a trip back down to here, and you might be right. I mean, that could happen, but I'm kind of leaning more towards, and again, maybe this is just my rose-colored glasses, but I'm kind of thinking, what if RSI is on a trend line like this? Okay, because we did complete a fully bearish trend, and then we popped up, I think, a little too fast, and we're cooling off. So what if stochastic bottoms down here in this range and doesn't come all the way down? I mean, in Matic's history, we usually do come all the way down, but we've never really had a proper bull run with Matic. So we can't say for certain what, if we need to come all the way down here. Maybe we don't. So let's kind of watch this in the coming weeks and see what this looks like. It's really hard to read right now. Want to talk about hard to read? But actually something that looks really good. This is the triple exponential moving average for Polygon. Anything below 0 is considered to be on the more bearish side. Anything above the 0 line is usually when you get those big bullish moves. We have not touched the 0 line since June of 2023. Guess what, folks? It's January of 2024. Actually, it's February. January and February of 2024. We are touching it again. Now, I don't know if this is going to round out a little bit here, but seeing what the chart looks like, seeing what this looks like, I like this. We have a higher low, higher low. I would love to see a higher high develop here in the coming months, and I think that's quite likely, to be honest with you. What analysis wouldn't be complete without looking at the ADX and DI? I'm really liking what I'm seeing here too. Look at the trend strength, it's picking up. We've got a trend strength right now of 30.5, which is a strong trend. However, we have a standstill. We have neutral behavior. We've got incredibly, I can't, this is just so hard to read. This is just neutral. That's just what I'm going to call it. We did manage to make a series of higher highs on the green DI, which these are the highest we've seen in years, really since 2022. So what my guess is, based on the history of Matic is, I can't predict if this is going to come down a little bit, but as the ADX rises, the trend movement, the trend strength is going to become a lot stronger, and you're going to see. Now, look at the ADX. The ADX itself hasn't been this high since about March or April of last year. Well, it looks to me like with these higher lows, we're getting ready for a very strong move, and the odds are that move is to the upside, not the downside. Okay, I would be surprised. I would actually be surprised to see this come down again, seeing what this chart looks like. This is just making me more and more bullish on Matic. This is the Mansfield RSI, which shows Matic against Bitcoin. And you can see that while Bitcoin has clearly been outperforming Matic, what I do like about this chart is I can see that we have been, since about September, starting to trend up. It's trending in the right direction. Even though, yes, Bitcoin, we're in the red, but I don't think Matic is a long-term bleeder against Bitcoin. There's nothing to suggest that. It's been performing very well against Bitcoin on the whole, I think, considering that it started in a very late bull market. I'm thinking when this thing blows, it's going to blow big. And wow, you're going to see some movement against Bitcoin that is just going to leave Bitcoin in the dust. Here's the Mansfield RSI against Ethereum. You can see that in the latter half of 2022, heading into 2023, Polygon dramatically outperformed Ethereum. Okay, right now we're hobbling along against ETH. ETH itself is suffering a little bit against Bitcoin, but although I think it may be about to show a little bit of relative strength for a short while, I fully expect that Matic will outperform Ethereum. I do at some point, just like it has in the past. I think it'll happen again. When will that happen? I don't know, but once Matic can find its footing, which it seems like it's not that far away from doing, it could happen as soon as next month for all I know, or the halving. I'd kind of be looking towards, around the halving personally, late April, sometime in the spring, but you just never know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you when exactly that burst is going to happen because I have no clue. Nobody does. Nobody knows. We're just making guesses based on probabilities. Here's your proof that Matic never had a proper bull market. Look at the beam. Matic has been undervalued and still is undervalued for years. It's never been overvalued on a weekly time frame. This asset is like a ticking time bomb to the upside. Okay, so in conclusion, could Matic see another leg down? Maybe we could draw out a path to kind of address that. It could. It is possible. Taking us to like maybe just under 60 cents. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do that. We saw how squeezed it was in the Bollinger Band. It's above the 20 week. So if it does fall below the 20 week one more time, that might be it. And then maybe we blast off to take out this high. Maybe we back test and then really blast off. Something like that. Well, I don't know. We don't want to go that way. But forget to double click this thing. Anyways. That's a possible path. I mean, who knows what's going to happen. Could also blast off right here, for all we know. It's just the Gaussian channel's red. It looks like it's kind of concave down. It might be inflecting here, so it's really hard to tell exactly what's going to happen in the short term, but I know in the long term, I'm very bullish on Matic. So even if it did have a little bit of short-term downside, I would just take advantage of that with some DCAs. How could you not with such a great project? But like I showed you in the beginning of this video, and I'd suggest you go back and rewatch it again just to absorb all the different indicators. The sky's the limit with this project. Just look at the Polygon website, look at what they have planned, look at their partnerships, and you'll see for yourself why I refer to this as the Google of crypto. Thank you for coming back into the crypto simulation, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Twitter. You can look at my TikTok if you want some tutorial videos on how to use the different indicators, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you can be notified of future videos. So until then, be well and enjoy your journey through the crypto simulation.